Okay, you can control. You can control your PowerPoint now, Wang Yimin. Okay.
Oh, okay. It is a little bit slow. Oh, yeah. Thank you. It is a little bit slow. So the framework of the research is how media agenda, media bias, political orientation associated with each other, and the foundation of the research is agenda setting theory, media bias theory, political orientation, Newland chart, and a Chinese grammar. There are three hypotheses between the three mean variables. So the methodology of the research is quantitative content analysis. The target population is the Chinese news media of Hong Kong, and the time dimension is from the day that Hong Kong protest broke out to the last day of 2019. The research materials are word sentences, pictures, topics, words from their news website, and the timeline is certain landmark political events. We chose 3 newspapers and total 450 articles. From these articles, we collect the material. And the measurement and the coding process is that we collect the data from the inside research engine and the website news review, and developed coding scheme, and finally design coding sheet. The coding scheme of a diversity level of media agenda, I coded the diversity level to 0 diversity, low, moderate, and high, according to the topics that appeared in the news agenda, the numbers. The emotions in media agenda are coded as negative aspect, neutral aspect, and a positive aspect of a same concept. For example, a policeman, for the negative is dirty cops, and the positive is good Hong Kong police. The media bias, there are 8 types of media bias according to the media bias theory, and we find the relative media bias from their article. The political orientation, I coded the political orientation into 5 parts according to the Newland chart: libertarian, liberal, centrist, conservative, authoritarian. Then I developed the code book. There are 7 variables. According to the code book, I developed 3 coding sheets to test the 3 hypotheses relatively. In order to ensure the reliability and the validity of the research, I invited a co-coder. The 2 coders filled the coding sheet separately, and we test the reliability from the SPSS, the software. So we can see the result. First of all, the total sample distribution is 3 newspapers, each 150 articles, totally 450. So the two-way random reliability calculation, the result is 0.85. It is acceptable, not very high, but acceptable. So we can see the result, the findings. For the media agenda, the diversity level, we can see that most of the articles, they are low diversity. For Minbo, they are relatively moderate diversity. The other two are relatively low diversity. For the emotions in agenda, we can see that most of the articles are slightly emotional. And for Minpo, most of its articles are emotionless. For Apple Daily, is slightly emotional, but for Weibo, it's moderately emotional. For the political orientation, we can see that most of the articles centrist, the affiliate centrist. For Apple Daily, most of its articles affiliate libertarian. And for Weibo, most of its articles affiliate authoritarian. For Minpo, most of its articles affiliate centrist. For media bias, we can see that type 1, type 2, type 3, these three types of bias, they are most common bias in their news agendas. For Minpo, we can see that most of its articles are relatively unbiased. For Apple Daily and Weibo, its articles are relatively contain severe bias. We can see the result. So let's see the hypothesis test. For the hypothesis 1, we can to test the relationship between media agenda and media bias. We can see that type 5 and type 8, they are not significant. But for the other types of media bias, they are significant. So we can see that hypothesis 1 is partially supported, and the media bias partially associated.
1 minute, Mr. Ying.
Okay.
1 minute, yeah.
Yes. And hypothesis 2 is, we can see that conservative is not significant. And we can see that it is partially supported. Media political orientation and media emotions are partially associated. From hypothesis 3, we can see that political orientation and media bias are completely associated. They are significantly associated. So we can see the result. And we from the research, we can see that the media watchdog need to be established in Hong Kong news industry. For government and policy, they need to communicate to general public. For scholars, there are more methods can be used to study the research. And for media practitioners, they should revise their reports and become more objectively. For the general public, we can say that they should read more, listen more, and seek more, and avoid being manipulated by news media. So that is my research. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. Yimin is an interesting in the sense because it's so contemporary and so burning, and still the protest is going on in Hong Kong. It has not ended yet, right? So this is the thing.
Yes.
So in that sense, it's very important. And I was actually doing a research on that, because since the protests started and the UK government invited around 5 million Hong Kongers to go to the UK, and how the British people are reacting to that invite. So I'm doing some research on that, and whether the Hong Kongers actually are willing to go, because it's kind of uprooting, right? The thing is, like, it's not an easy decision, obviously, and British government actually terms the Hong Kongers like BNO, British nationals overseas. So in that sense, is so interesting, but you are doing research really on a very sensitive issue. But I was really amazed to see that how you have kept your work very neutral, so you are not hurting. You are not hurting Hong Kong. You are not hurting China or anyone. So this is actually the magic that all the researchers should have and should apply. But I have some question to ask, like the newspaper, because I didn't know the newspapers. Where are they published actually from? They are published from China.
The newspaper is Hong Kong local newspaper. I chose them because they have the most influential newspaper.
Yeah, okay. So how is it like, like if you look at the newspapers in China and newspapers in Hong Kong, so their perspective is totally different. You already know that is biased, right? So
yes.
Yeah, so because
in Hong Kong, Israeli, they are newspaper unbiased. So they can compare their media agenda because they are newspaper unbiased.
Yeah, I understand. I understand your point, but if you look at this, like the 99 years lease, for example, and when Hong Kong was handed over to China, and they said the SAR, the Hong Kong, like a special administration, it will continue until 2047, right? That was the deal. That was the deal when it was handed over. So perhaps if as a neutral person, from a third person, I look at that from that perspective, like, yes, China, mainland China is trying to extend their upper hand slowly, because it's anyway, Hong Kong is China. Anyway, it's not Taiwan, like it's Hong Kong, Macau is China. So it means, from that perspective, and Hong Kongers always, have been fighting for democracy, for your, like all these things. So from your perspective, is a Hong Kongers, and I'm not saying anti-China, it means you are pro-Hong Kongers, then sometimes in this world now, when you look at the newspapers, we say post-truth. It means, what is truth? Today we believe based on what people say. We don't believe based on what are the facts. That is post-truth, Now, those who believe in post-truth, they say, oh, whatever you say is correct. But we don't look at the fact. This is why it's tricky, is very challenging, doing research of this kind that you are doing. Like when you say, oh, that is neutral, this news was neutral, but who told you, like from theoretical perspective, who told you? I know that you were saying from your eyes, maybe from my eyes is not like biased, it's unbiased, it's neutral, So it is, the remains always are there. The remains, the challenges are always there. So kind of, if you could, I'm not asking you to do that. If like, to make a kind of balance, looking at, some newspapers in China, in the UK, in Hong Kong,
Yes.
Kind of thing. So because your ground for your research will be stronger. People will not ask you questions, right? So you also feel better from ethical perspective, for your kind of things.
Yes,
and if you can, and if you can conceptualize a bit, like for example, when you say like slightly emotional, political orientations, if you conceptualize a bit, so for the layman's like us, would be in a better position to understand what actually you wanted to mean by that. Slightly emotional, but emotion is something that you cannot really measure. I am extremely emotional, I am less emotional, I am highly emotional. You cannot measure this kind of thing. So if you can conceptualize a bit on that, so readers will be in a comfort zone to understand what exactly you are saying. Otherwise, I would say is an interesting and very, very good one, and very sensitive as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you
Good
very
luck
much
with
for
your
your
work.
advice.
Thank you.